Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host GamerK, and we're in for a bit of a doozy of a game this week. We're heading back to the Nancy Drew series, and I just realized this, the 4 digital games that I downloaded 2 years ago, all 4 of them have some animal motif to go about it. I mean, I don't know why, but just an interesting fact. Well, it's cold and rainy here in Canada right now, so I figured what better use of my time than to go over a game that makes us feel like we're in a last resort. Okay, yeah. I am going over the 16th game of the Nancy Drew series and the first game to really incorporate better 3D effects into the future of the franchise, and I do love it. It is, of course, Nancy Drew, the White Wolf of Icicle Creek. And I love wolves, if you can't tell from this giant wolf blanket. And I love wolves. So I thought this would be the perfect game to play. And yeah, basically in 2020, I kind of got into the series because of my ex played a couple games. So yeah, that kind of thing. But I also watched this YouTuber Arglethump do the entire Nancy Drew series during lockdown of 2020. Link will be right here. Go check him out. Really fun YouTuber. Really loves to nitpick the Nancy Drew series, so he's my kind of dude. Okay, so going over the White Wolf of Icicle Creek is a lodge owner is requesting Nancy's help of strange disturbances that have been happening. So she's asked us to investigate, and of course, right in the beginning, or right before we even get to said lodge, an explosion happens, destroying a bunker or icebox or whatever. And apparently, every time there is an issue, a white wolf has been spotted. Some say the wolf brings a curse. Some say it's a coincidence. I say it's a white wolf and I love her. End of story. So the game came out in 2007, so pretty good animation for this. So it's a good majority of some mysteries. This is a sabotage mystery. There's no treasure. There's nothing like that, unlike some of the other games, which I'm kind of happy about it, because if they just did treasure over and over again, it would get done to death. Except for Relic Hunter, where that's always a joy. So yeah, so in this story, we are to be an employee of said lodge, where we will be doing various tasks while we investigate. Don't just love it? Whenever Nancy goes undercover, suddenly that expects us to do a majority of chores. It's not as bad as it's not as bad as warnings from Waverly Academy, but it's better than, say, Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake, where it's just doing stuff because everyone's too lazy. For example, we will have to pick up laundry from the guests' rooms while we investigate their rooms. Actually, that's a pretty good cover of your reasoning for being in their rooms. So I do like that, and we all have to do that by a certain time. So if you investigate too much and don't do a lot of your responsibilities by the time, yeah, you're gonna fail and you're gonna have to restart basically. Which I guess is a pretty good penalty. One of the best ones is the cooking minigame, where you'll have to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for all the guests. And it's a pretty good setup of how you do it. You have to keep track of the meat, you have to keep track of the things that are cooked, toppings, sides, all that good stuff. And the fact that you have to do it 3 times each day for a majority, I don't really mind it. It's not as irritating. But everything slowly goes downhill from there majority of the time. So we have a good majority of suspects in this. We have Lou, who's a student who's here enjoying the skiing. We've got Bill, we find out later in the game that Bill's family, when he was a kid, owned the lodge, but it kind of got sold to the people. So we suspect a motive of sabotaging it in order for him to get back his family home. We've got an Olympian from a very bizarre country named Yanni, who I actually enjoy Yanni. He's a great character, so full of laughs a majority of the time. We've got Ollie, who's the caretaker of the lodge, and who thinks that the wolf should be trapped and shot. I do not share Ollie's enthusiasm on this, but what can you do? And then we have Guadalupe, who is a bird watcher / animal activist. There's a secret thing that you can do if you investigate a little bit more, and then if you talk to Guadalupe, I mean, you can go practically the whole game without talking to her, and it won't affect the whole thing. But it is revealed later that she sabotaged Ollie's gun so he couldn't shoot the wolf, which I kind of agree. And later on in the game, as you investigate more and as you progress, Guadalupe and Lou will leave the lodge, leaving you less people to take care of. I'm sorry. Here's the thing for me. Yeah, I get that we have to do the laundry and everything, the cooking, and I get that because of all the issues that have been happening, like an explosion at the ice fishing cabin, and all this other stuff. I get that guests are leaving, but why are there no other employees here? Like, did they do a High School Musical 2 where a teenage detective is coming in to investigate, so we're firing all of our staff so she does the work? Seriously, like, why couldn't there be like some employees? Maybe they could have been suspects. Like, they held a grudge against the owner, or they're with Guadalupe and they're animal rights activists, but they're going too extreme. Why isn't that a thing? I'm just saying it would made a couple more suspects and have less chores for us. But like any Nancy Drew game, the suspects are a big part of it, but another big part of it is the constant puzzles. Now, me being a puzzle lover, I do love a challenging puzzle. But in this game, there are far too many and far too long. Let's see. For example, we've got the ice fishing puzzle where we need to catch a certain type of fish. There's a snowball minigame we have to do with Ollie's daughter in order to get hand warmers in order to go out further into the snow. One thing I do love is the instances when we get trapped by one of the explosions. The wolf actually helps us out, and her name is Isis, and I love that. Every time the wolf comes on screen, I just get a little bit of joy in my heart. And there's a small little section where she is commandable, and we get to teach her some commands. And just doing that, it's adorable half the time. And it plays a lot until near the final edge of the game, where we find a mine at a tracker's needle, and we have an underground cave system where we will need to have the wolf help us out. And also we need to find 4 coins that act as the keys for the area. And in order to find these keys, we will need to do a couple small little puzzles. One of them, well, actually now that I think about it, out of the out of the 4, we find 2 of them very easily. All you gotta do to find the moose one is just go to the moose head, touch its nose, and it will open up. And the raccoon one is in a picture frame of a raccoon. The pig one I can't remember, but in order to find the wolf one, you need to get a Geiger counter because apparently they're radioactive. Okay, 4 radioactive coins. I can almost guess what the whole thing is about. And then we have the absolute worst puzzle in the game. It is basically just a board game that you play with one of the characters. It's a game of fox and geese, and I'm putting it up here. So basically, the object of the game is to have the geese trap the wolf into a make sure the fox can't move. But if the geese, it's almost like Chinese checkers, where if there's an open space behind, the fox can capture the geese. And this is the hardest puzzle because there's a little pyramid puzzle that's in the lobby. You don't know what to do with it unless you play this mini game. And it's so irritating. So basically, instead of the fox, you have to put the pig token onto the fox, where the pig takes the fox token. And you have to trap the pig in 3 separate areas. You have to capture it in them. Like, if you look at the game board, you see the 4 animals in each corner. You have to trap it in the moose, raccoon, and the pig section, and not the wolf. So that means you have to play this frustrating game and trap the fox, which means you have to think several moves ahead in not 1, not 2, but 3 corners of this game, which means you have to play it 3 times, which increases the amount of time the game takes. And the game usually takes 8 hours. Okay, obviously I took breaks now and then to play this game because it got really annoying. But yeah, and then afterwards we solved the puzzle to get the master key that would open the needle, which is the whole thing that we need to find. It turns out it's already gone, so all of that for nothing! Nothing! Oh. As much as I hate the puzzle, there is one part of this game that makes me feel like an absolute moron. So, kind of early in the game when we don't have that much to go on, the lodge owner asks us to phone a expert to kind of identify the personality of the culprit. I've never met this guy in a game. I never played the game he's in. But Nancy Drew fans who've played all the games know this guy's an asshole. And just talking to him in this one game, I know he's an asshole. Also, I've watched the game of this. I watched Arglefun play that game, so I know this guy's an a-hole before. But just playing the game by myself, I know this guy's an asshole. From the train game, Tino Balducci. Yeah, I already know the big joke that you can do with his name. It's almost like they intended him to be one, so they made the joke. So, oh, and unlike some stuff in this game, this thing that Tino has us do is not negotiable. You have to do it in order to progress. So basically, he faxes you a little printout and asks us to ask all the suspects the questions, and we also have to sneak in their stuff and learn about them. Oh, Also, I forgot one small little tidbit. This game takes place in Alberta, Canada. So it's finally good to have a game in Nancy Drew that is in my country. Not my location, but overall my area. So we had to find out information about all the suspects, where they're from, this bit of information, and then we have to submit it to him, and he'll give us a profile of who he thinks the culprit is. This is the part that makes me feel like an absolute moron, because you actually have to type in the answers. I had to resubmit this about 16 times because I thought I got some information wrong. So I was going back, re-editing, finding out if I if I screwed something up for a character. But it was a lot more severe than that. I misspelt Los Angeles, and that was the issue. All the information was correct. The only problem was my spelling. So yeah, that's why this game took me so long. So that's kind of a my bad on that, but yeah. Yeah. And then after all that, Tino gives us the culprit should be the owner of the lodge. Yeah, even though she's not visible in the game, she's only on phone call. Okay, all honesty, that would have made an amazing twist if Balducci was actually right. But I'm glad he wasn't, so this entire thing is just absolutely pointless. That's a problem with this game. Half the puzzles are nothing. Trapping, playing that stupid game 3 times, and then doing the puzzle of the pyramid turned out to be pointless. The Balducci part was pointless. So, yeah, no, I'm not going to give away the culprit. I'm just going to say this. It has nothing to do with dinosaur bones in the area, like getting people away from the lodge so you can excavate dinosaur bones. It has nothing to do with revenge. It has nothing to do with a wolf. I kind of gave it away when I talked about the coins a little bit, so people who want to investigate, go back to that part of the game. Or just play the game yourself, or go watch ArgoFump. It's a hell of a time watching his reactions and his complaints about some of the puzzles. I really enjoy his commentary. But a point I'm making is, you know how in a lot of the Nancy Drew games, the final confrontation is either doing a puzzle to make sure the culprit doesn't get away, getting away from them, stuff like that. This one is by far the most hurtful thing ever. As the culprit gets away on a snowmobile, we follow them, and we have to track them down in a snow-covered screen while we move around in the snow, dodging trees and trying to catch the culprit. Oh my God! Have you ever got the sensation when you stare at snow too long, your eyes start to hurt? Well, imagine about a couple minutes of that, because you don't know when it's going to stop unless you catch up to the culprit. And it's absolutely asinine! First off, the entire screen is pitch white with the trees like snow, and it hurts your eyes. It physically hurt to do this, and this is the end of the game. Overall, White Wolf of Icicle Creek is somewhat pointless. Very pointless. Half the puzzles are blah. Half of them aren't even interesting, except for commanding ISIS near the end of the cave. But that comes too late. And also, 2 of the suspects leave afterwards, which I kind of expected them to kind of show up being the culprit and everything, but as much as I love wolves, this game does zero. Like, the wolf is in, like, maybe in the grand scheme of things, maybe 10% of the game. And that's irritating. When your main focus, it suffers the same thing as Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake. The title is a lie, because the dogs appear at the beginning of the game, and then we find them at the end of the game, and they never appear again. Although we kind of do, because it kind of talks about the dogs that belong to the mobster in that game, so I guess that kind of counts. But the wolf appears like 10% of the game, and it's cutscenes and a quick puzzle where we're teaching her how to obey the commands, and then at the end of the game, everything else in this game is bare minimum. Not even that. And again, half the puzzles are either cooking for the guests, that stupid survey from Balducci, that irritating Fox game where we had to do it 3 times to get nothing out of it. And also we had to clean an ice sheet for skating a bit in the middle, which points to nothing. Half the mini games do nothing for the overall story. It doesn't give us information. It barely gives us anything. So, yeah, if you like the Nancy Drew series and you really want to enjoy all of them, then I would get all these games. But as far as an overall game itself, it just feels like, again, you're doing bare nothing for zero reward. Like, there's no... It's one of the weaker games, in my opinion. Like, I love the wolf, I love the characters, but overall, it just feels very hollow and empty. So yeah, I'm never playing the games again, because once is enough. So yeah, oh God. GamerK's final verdict for Nancy Drew, the Ice Wolf, the White Wolf of Icicle Creek, is a sub-zero 6 out of 10. Everything I enjoyed about the game kind of gives it that okay vibe. Like, the cooking puzzle is okay. Everything about this game just feels very minimum. And it shows in how they chose to end the game. So, yeah. All I know is it's going to be a good while until I do another Nancy Drew review. And that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this review. What are your ideas on the game? Like, comment, subscribe down below. Join me next week where we end the month of February with a figure review where we're going to be going over a true queen of the game. This is GamerK, logging out.